Everybody. So, just wanted to come on here and talk about everybody's favorite fringe subject, aliens. And even though it's becoming not so fringe in today's world, which is pretty peculiar. And what's also happening, I've noticed, is the popular sentiment of these so-called aliens. It's going from if they exist to why they exist. You know what I mean? It's gone from, it's not even that much of a crazy idea anymore to think that there are aliens. I mean, I think we can all pretty much conclude from what we've seen, if the footage that we've seen is not some kind of futuristic technology by the United States government or some other government, um, it's most likely aliens. And the proof is in the pudding, man. The proof is in literally from um, what the military has recorded for us in terms of the speed of these objects and the appearance of these objects and how they maneuver and what they look like. And it's just so strange. It doesn't fit the bill of any kind of technology that we currently have, as far as we know, as far as the public knows. So, I mean, just through just through rational deduction, you kind of have to figure that it's got to be some other life force, right? There's kind of It's not like we're 100% there yet in terms of proof. There's hasn't been any alien on the Today Show saying, "Hey, here I am," but we're pretty much at that point. you know, if there are these extraterrestrial beings, that's what they're doing. Like, they know that we all have these high definition recording devices in our pockets. And they definitely know, they have to know, if they can traverse time and space and traverse, um, like, distance isn't a thing to them, where they can just go almost like teleport. Because that's kind of what's happening in the stories that you'll hear, is that these craft, they sort of teleport. They can go from 40,000 feet to 40 feet in under a second. So if they have that kind of technology, they know when we're filming them. They have to know. They have to know. There's no way that they don't. Like, I feel like that there's no mistakes. There's no oops. The monkey started filming us. Like, God damn it. How'd you let the humans film you, man? Come on, you were on a secret mission. No, they know. For sure they know. So that's what they're doing. They're right now kind of just giving us a little wave, like, hey, we're here. We're waiting for you guys. You gotta smarten up, but they're just giving us like little hints, because I think they can't get involved. Because if they get involved, they're gonna mess up the karma. They can't mess up our karma. They know that there's laws to this universe. They abide by karma just like we abide by karma. So, I mean, they have to go by the rules, and without impinging on our karma and their karma, it's the same thing, too much. They're kind of just like at a distance right now. That's why all the footage we see isn't like up close. It's still kind of like iffy. And I think it's iffy on purpose, because if you have some sort of rationale in your head, you can kind of deduce that it's most likely aliens. Like, they want us to think about it a little bit. They don't want to make it too easy, because they can't. They want us to figure it out. Use a little bit of conscious thought to see that, wait a second, we might not be the top of the food chain. We might not be what is that, the high man on the totem pole here in this whole universe. But they want us to figure this out. And on top of that, on top of all of that, I think that there are caretakers. They're here. They're us, essentially. I mean, if everything is non-dual, then they are us. Everything is us. And they know that as well. So they're taking care of us. They're making sure that we don't mess this thing up too much. Without getting involved too much, they're making sure that we don't mess it up too much. So what they're trying to do, I believe, is help us evolve. but they can't get too involved with our evolution. So they're kind of just throwing hints here and there. We're at a point right now where something's, there's an uptick in our consciousness. So they're throwing hints. They're like, oh, they're getting it. They're getting it. They're getting it. So they're taking care of us, man. They're taking care of us from a distance. It's love at a distance. It really is. It's like they love us so much that they know if they were to come down right now, open up the craft, say, "What's up, everybody?" Everyone, it would be the biggest story, and it would throw people into psychosis, neuroticism. It wouldn't work, So this is the way that the game plan has to go. Just little hints here and there, little specks on our video, sharing it on TikTok, like little specks, kind of just getting the gears going, getting us curious. But if you know enough, if you think about it enough, meditate on that, you can draw the conclusion that these things are not human beings, but they're still us. Like I said, man, they're us, and they're us, and they know that we're brothers. Like, these aliens aren't anything separate. They're not aliens. Like, we call it aliens, right? Like, they're the separate being. Like, they're not like what came to mind was the term of illegal alien, right? That we call Mexicans in America illegal alien. Dude, they're human beings too. Well, the aliens, they're us too, okay? They know that, and I think we're in time going to figure that out. And they're us in the non-dual sense, as in everything is us, right? Everything is one. But let's think about it in this way, right? And how they're us. I see it like we're cousins with chimpanzees, right? Very close. I think they're the closest ancestor. I think bonobos are the closest ancestor, DNA-wise, to human beings in the tree of life, in the tree of evolution. But there was a split. I don't know how long ago. I don't know off the top of my head. But there was a split between our common ancestor where we became humans. They stayed as chimps, living in the trees, right? So we still have chimps, but then we became humans at one point in time. Well, just throwing this out there as an idea, maybe somewhere along the way, that's where these aliens come into our relationship with them, where at one point in time, another age, another era, we were humans like we are now, in a way, maybe a little bit different, bear with me here, but they split. They went off into the intergalactic way of living, different technology, different consciousness, different way of life, a different evolution, and we stayed as humans. We fell into our lower nature, our more animalistic nature. We didn't evolve like they did. Just like chimps didn't evolve like humans have, we didn't evolve like the aliens have. So maybe that's what these things are. Like we have chimps in a zoo. We take care of them, feed them, bathe them. We love them. Maybe these aliens are just our cousins, and they take care of us just like we take care of chimps in a zoo. I don't know. Maybe it would make sense, right? It would make logical sense. I really do think these things, whatever the story is, whatever story you want to attach to it, maybe they're time travelers, but in a more rational sense, maybe they're just another fork in evolution. And their fork was somehow just a greater sense of consciousness. Maybe. Who knows? Just entertaining the idea here. But, where am I going with this? Ultimately, they are taking care of us. Ultimately, they're not going to come down here, try to destroy us and invade and be like, Tom Cruise movie. It's not, no, they would have already done that by now. They're here to guide us along the way to a higher state of consciousness. And then, once we do that on our own accord, because we can't do it any other way, once we reach a certain collective state of higher consciousness, that's when we'll be welcomed into the Galactic Federation. And then from there, I don't know. I couldn't even attempt to describe that with my monkey mind, what that's like. But I think ultimately that's where we're going. We're becoming a spacefaring species, but how we do that is first we upgrade our consciousness and then we join the other spacefaring species. And then I believe, this is just a hypothesis, once we upgrade our consciousness, once we reach a higher state of consciousness of love, the aliens will be more apt to work with us and give us technology to make it easier to be spacefaring. It won't be so much of a process. You know, we think of the technology that they have is so far in the future. It's so advanced, right? But what if all we have to do is just stop killing each other? Recognize that we're all brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. Upgrade to that state of consciousness of love, of true non-duality with each other. And then they'll give us the technology. They'll show us how to use this technology. And then we won't have to wait, thousands of years, millions of years to have this teleportation technology. Well, we can just do it right now. We can just do it literally right now. If we want to become a greater species, live in a true, almost heaven-like state, all we have to do is just literally change right now, and then we'll get that external technology. But first we got to change our internal technology, and then we can join our true brothers and sisters, because I do believe that we are related to them. Yeah, man. What's up, Emmanuel? Thanks for joining me, man. Hey, I don't know who's here and who isn't here, but feel free to chime in on the alien talk, man. They're here, and I think it's crazy that we live in a time that we're even just, even if we do or don't know conclusively if they are here or not here, even though it's pretty conclusive, it's crazy that we're even talking about it. It's crazy that we're even running that through. It's crazy that's even on the news, right? I'm pretty sure it was on like Fox News. That's wild, right? That's just like, that's insane. And nobody cares. Like, we're not talking about it. I mean, I'm talking about it right now. But shouldn't this be the biggest news story? The biggest event in human history? Definitely should be bigger than the Kardashians, right? It should be, I don't think we should be talking about really anything else. Like, it should go aliens from another planet, another dimension with technology that goes far beyond our means that we could ever conceive of, and then everything else. Like, that should be number one on all of our radar, no pun intended. Just think about it, man. Think of the repercussions if we were to actually, because I think what the goal is, right? The end goal is we merge with them, we become like them, and we become part of this galactic federation. So imagine what the repercussions would be if we actually did that. We'd live in a different realm. We would live in a different state of being. It wouldn't look like how it looks now. There wouldn't be so much darkness, pain, and suffering. They would give us technology to probably heal all of our maladies, to heal anything, our injuries, our sickness. Most likely, they would give us technology to traverse space and time. If they can do it, they're just waiting for us to smarten up. And I'm definitely, getting this idea, if anyone's seen it, from the Stephen Greer documentaries. Close Encounters of, is it the fourth kind, fifth kind, sixth kind, some kind. And his other one, I forget the name of it. And that's the idea, man. And that's his idea. They're waiting for us to come to the unity consciousness. Everything that I've talked about on my podcast, it's cool, yo, love, kumbaya, all of us getting along, building heaven. But after that, after we build the kingdom of heaven, you know what's gonna happen, man? Humanity as a whole is going to that's step one. Build the kingdom of heaven here. Build a better world where we're not launching missiles at each other, right? And then step two, we join. We join our brothers and sisters in the sky. And then from there, bro, Star Wars happens, Star Trek. Who knows? No, I don't think all aliens are good. That's the thing. I don't think they. Yeah, no, I think there's nefarious beings. Like, there's got to be, right? There's got to be. There's got to be a balance. Like, there's probably like and I've read this before. Not that anyone truly knows, but I've read that there's this galactic war going on right now that we don't even know of, and they're fighting over us. Like, think about that. Like, there's this, if that's true, how crazy is that, right? How fucking crazy is that? If there actually is this like intergalactic war between different species of extraterrestrials going on over human beings and the control of human beings, and we're here just twiddling our thumbs, watching Netflix on the weekend, worrying about the Kardashians and what Kanye said and just like dumb shit, right? Yet yeah, well, all of this is going on. We got Star Wars times 50 actually literally happening in this moment. You know how insane that is? That's unfathomable. But I do believe that's happening, man. I don't know why, but I think that the truth is stranger than fiction. Like, the truth is stranger than Star Wars and Star Trek in any science fiction novel. And I think all of those things are just archetypes. They're just messages. They're just like prophecies for us. Like, we're gonna see that Star Wars is in the future. People will look at it as like a religion, almost like we see Revelations. Like almost like we see any of our religions of today. It's just going to be like, we think it's just like entertainment, just a story. No, I think it's actually just like showing us like what's going on right now in a different light. Obviously, like, there's probably no Darth Vader. Maybe there is. Maybe there's Han Solo. Who knows? Maybe there's characters like that out there. Luke Skywalker. Who knows? But what I'm trying to say is, I think they're just messages to a deeper layer of what's really going on. But my question is, why are human beings so important? What is it about the human being, the soul? Are they trying to capture our souls? Do they want the loosh? Do they want our energy here? One side of me thinks that like there's the good guys that want to free us, want us to join the Liberation Corps. They want us to join the core of spreading life, pretty much. Like, I think the goal of these aliens, the good guys, would be spread life wherever life can be spread, and then that's it. It's just like life spreads and keeps going up the hierarchy until I don't know what happens after, like in terms of evolution. But I think in a material sense of the third dimension here, it's just like life spreads life. Creation creates creation. That's the good guys. The bad guys are like leeches. I would think the bad guys are like, you've heard it before, the loosh. They're harvesting our energy in a way. Like, they're harvesting our negative energy, and in one way that feeds them. The Anunnaki, they're using us to mine gold, right? That archetype of like they're literally enslaving us. That might be what's happening right now. I think actually we're under control of the bad guys. I think humanity is under control of the, Satan, I guess you could say, the dark forces. And the good guys are trying to free us from Lucifer's control. And, Satan, Lucifer, the devil, I think those are just different names for the bad aliens. The reptilians, those are just different names for those guys. Like the guys that are trying to enslave us and take our energy. I think we're literally under the control of them right now, though. You can feel it. Like, it doesn't feel right? Like the way that human beings conduct themselves here in our, I don't want to say we're slaves, but we're kind of slaves. We're not 100% free, right? We're not slaves in the classic sense of the 1800s America, but you know, we're not free, I guess you could say. But the good aliens are trying to free us by freeing our mind. And once we can free our mind, then we can truly become a free species. We can truly become free, and then we can be free with them. Because I think the good guys, the good aliens, they're free. They're liberated. They're of love. But the bad guys are, they're of the opposite of freedom. What would you call that? What's a word for opposite of, I guess, captivity? Denseness. Like they're trying to keep us down, man. But in the ultimate sense, there's no good or bad. You know, those forces of freedom and trying to enslave us are really just, they're just actions of God, right? That's in the ultimate sense. I'm talking in like a little lower sense now, and like the story that's going on. But in the ultimate sense, there's a balance between those two forces, and I mean, we're just right now we're imbalanced between those forces. But ultimately, getting back on track with the aliens, the bad guys, there's nothing that like they already lost, because I think the Satanistic lizard people type aliens, the Greys maybe, or the reptilians. I'm not too up to date on the different races that people proclaim there are, but you know, the negative forces. I would say that they already lost, because they did not want our state of consciousness to rise to a level where we even think freedom is possible. You know, that love is possible. But cat's out of the bag. You know, there's some of us out there, there's some of few chosen ones out there that know that there's another way to live. We don't have to keep going with the programming. We don't have to keep going with the Satanistic programming that we're currently living under, right? So the war is lost. The fight between good and evil, freedom and imprisonment here on Earth is lost. There's the train, man. I don't know if you guys can hear it. That's the victory tube, man. The war has been won, and now it's just a matter of time. So really, what's happening right now on Earth? Why we think it's so crazy? This is Babylon, or you know, the evil aliens, the guys trying to enslave us and take our loot. This is their last ditch effort to keep our consciousness at bay and to suck as much energy out as they can before the Great Awakening, before we become the species that we were supposed to become. And there's a lot of dark forces. There's a lot of distraction right now. There's a lot of funny business. A lot of dark magic happening. But that's just them trying to hold on to the little bit of power that they had for, I don't know, thousands of years. But there's no going back now, man. We're free. Something happened within the last few years where we freed ourselves, or something freed us. Whatever it is, we reached the sense of freedom to tap into the power of love, the true power of love. And now it's just spreading like a virus, like wildfire. And then from there, once it eventually works its way into the collective consciousness of the majority of human beings, I don't even know if it has to be all of them. I don't know. Maybe it has to be every single human being. Maybe it'll get there. Maybe just like a certain percentage, you reach a certain threshold. But we'll say over 50%, right? Over 50% of human beings, once we get there, that's when the aliens will show up. Or maybe even we'll welcome them in. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be a surprise. Like, that's the whole Stephen Greer idea, right? It's not even that, like, you know, the day of invasion where they show up and like, oh shit, here they are. It's like, no, we'll be waiting for them. It's like, oh, come on in, guys. Here's the red carpet. You know what I mean? Like, providing landing sites for them, and you know, almost like actually, you know, okay, so let me reverse this a little bit. Let me back up. If what they're doing right now, just kind of throwing hints, you know, planting seeds, showing themselves on video in these little specks and on the radar of jet fighters, right? Just kind of like throwing seeds. What if that keeps increasing? Which it is. It actually is increasing. But what if that just keeps getting more and more as time goes on, as we get more warmed up to the idea of aliens, where it's just like a thing, like, yeah, they're here. Slowly and slowly, we get more and more acquainted with the idea, and then eventually, somehow, we're all gonna be on the page, like, yeah, they're here. We don't know what they are, but maybe we should figure out what they are, and there'll be efforts for that. There'll be efforts to welcome them in. Hey, maybe we should just bring them in, welcome them in, like, here, hey, come on in, guys. And I think that's what's going to happen, because that's what Stephen Greer does. If you believe what he does, he sets up these meditation sessions, group meditation sessions, that align groups to welcome them, even if it's from a distance, to say what up. Well, what if we can imagine that at a scale of thousands of people? I mean, this is obviously far off. This seems insane, but it's possible. Imagine this, right? Every single human being, or even 50% of the population of human beings, or maybe everybody in America, right? It's going to be Alien Day. November 5th, it's going to be Alien Day. Or 11/11, right? How perfect. 11/11 will be Alien Day. What we're all going to do on 11/11 at 11:11 a.m. is sit, breathe, resonate at that all is one consciousness of love. And from there, kind of attract that sense of an extraterrestrial sense, like a loving sense of welcoming them in. Because that's what Stephen Greer does. I mean, I'm not doing a good job explaining his technique, but essentially that's what he does. So they meditate, reach that state of oneness, pinpoint their location through their subconscious, like they literally visualize it. So what if imagine the power in that, because his groups are what, 20 people? Imagine the power of that, of billions of people. We're all going to say, all right, everybody visualize everybody visualize the TGI Fridays in New York, and that's going to be the landing site, okay? All one, visualize that, get the GPS coordinates, and boom, we welcome them in. I think that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for us to welcome them in, and then they welcome us into their crew, and they give us technology, and from there, who knows? I think that's just like that's when the party gets started. You know what I mean? Like, this is all of this before we get into the extraterrestrial spacefaring species. This is just the preliminaries, man. Like, this is just the prelude. The game, the story of the narrative of a human being and what it means to be a human being. I think we're just getting started here, bro. Like, this is just, and this might just be the pregame of the pregame. I think there's levels to this. And even though, yes, you could say it's all one non-duality talk, well, there's layers in this, there's waves in the ocean. There's levels. It's all one pyramid, but there's levels in the pyramid type thing, Have you heard the book called The Law of One? It talks about aliens and densities of consciousness. For sure, man. I love The Law of One. I think a lot of people could say, as a skeptic, devil's advocate on The Law of One, it's all made up, right? Of course, you could just make something up and put that on the internet. But, dude, if you made something up like The Law of One and dove into the topics and revelations and just kind of outlandish ideas, not even outlandish, but like, pretty far out ideas that The Law of One talks about, you just made that up off the top of your head, you deserve to write a sci-fi novel. You deserve an Oscar for the script that you wrote, because it's very profound, the stuff that they channeled, and it's all on audio too, very slowly recorded audio. It's really hard to refute the validity of The Law of One, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think it's real. I think it's valid for sure. I think the idea of us being in different levels of consciousness. And what are we in now? Let me go on the law of one. I'm gonna look this up. Let's do this. Let's do this live, man. Because I haven't read it in a while, but I do think the levels of consciousness talk is pretty valid. Hold on, let me see if I can. Let me go. Boom, boom. All right. Let's see. Where do we find levels of consciousness? So it's the densities, right? That's what they call them. Densities. Boom. Okay. Oh man, I'm not gonna read all of this. Is it densities? Yeah, 6, 7, 8. Well, what are we right now? I think we're on the third, right? Third or going into the fourth, and there's like 7 or 8. But yeah, I'm not too like, I'm not a scholar on the law of one, but a lot of it makes sense. And it's interesting because they say that, like Jesus was like the 5th density, right? Which was like of love. And Buddha was like 6th or something like that. And then 7th is a being, Buddha was like of wisdom. And then 7th, I guess you could say, is a being of wisdom and love. And that might be like our destination. That's like the ultimate goal. It's almost like enlightenment. How do you combine the two? Yeah, I'm not gonna go reading this because it's a little too dense for right now. Maybe I might have to do some videos on the law of one. But yeah, man, it makes sense. I believe it. I think it's also interesting too because there's 2 paths with the law of one. There's like the positive and the negative path, but in the negative one, you can only go so far. You get to like the 6th in the negative, and then that's it. Like you can still ascend. But in the 7th one, there's a positive path, then you can get to the 7th one. Yeah, it's interesting. It's cool because it's like a science, It's like it's a good outline. And it makes sense. It's like pretty simple. I think anybody could really digest the law of one in terms of like how we ascend our consciousness level. I believe it. It depends on what model you want to look at, because I guess there's other models out there that prescribe to that idea of, or subscribe to that idea of ascending our level of consciousness. And I think that's just really what's going on. Really, you could pick any model that works for you, but really what's going on here, man, is we're evolving. Like, I don't know, I think the popular sentiment with where we are now is that people think evolution has stopped. We evolved from apes supposedly, and here we are, and that's it. We're all done. Like, no, I think we're still evolving. And if anything, we're evolving ever more so now. It's exponential. Like, our evolution right now is less so actually physical evolution. I think that was where we came from, a sort of physical evolution. Into now, it's morphing into our conscious evolution, like literally our consciousness. And it's not through the environment shaping us. It's not through natural selection. It's not even through sexual selection. It's through literally us changing our consciousness, us evolving our consciousness. Like, we're the ones taking a hold of this evolution and creating our own being. Before, we were at whim to our environment and genetic mutations and hopefully not dying and hopefully passing on our DNA. Well, we're still at that, but now we're at like a stage of abundance where we don't have to even be a subject to those things and those criteria for evolution. Really, it's kind of just like in the background now. Now it's like, it's game on. We're totally switching up the script to how we evolve, because we are literally writing the script to how we evolve. But there's still boundaries. Like, there's still a framework for our evolution, and the law of one and other models outline it very well. you know, we were subject to Darwinian evolution. We were subject to the classic evolution, like I described, in the up to the third density level or second. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a scholar in the law of one, but now at this density level, it's like it's something's different. Like we're past our need to survive, and we're at a point where it's like, okay, we got survival taken care of. Now it's time for you to thrive. And from there, like I said, it's up to us and how we go about that. And then we become greater beings. And yeah, there's still like a model that we have to follow in order to do that. And it's the same model that's been going on for millions of years, and maybe with other extraterrestrials as well. I mean, I would imagine like this law of one model and other models, they most likely have similarities with other species, right? It can't just be on Earth. It might just be on Earth, but most likely it's that law of one model or other models of evolution of consciousness and evolution of species most likely pertains to other species in the universe as well. Most likely. Do you think aliens look like Hindu gods or something? The Buddha talks about different realms and universes too. Yeah, I've had that idea before. Definitely. Yeah. They probably, most likely, like in these visions, like almost like in the visions of Ezekiel, and they talk about Vimanas. Vimanas, almost like these spaceships. I think it was in the is it in the Bhagavad Gita? I don't know. It's in an old Hindu text, the Mahabharata, I think. They talk about these. I'll look it up. I'll look up what a Vimana looks like. It's actually pretty crazy. But yeah, the gods too. They most likely have. Like, look, this is what a Vimana looks like. Hold on. Well, they describe it as a flying palace. And these are actual structures, right? But that's kind of how it's described. Let me see if I can get the actual description. Let's go on the wiki. Alright, let's see. Along the dark course, tawny, well-feathered birds. Oh, it's in the Vedas. Clothing themselves in water, fly upward toward heaven. These have returned here from the seat of truth. Only then is the earth moistened with ghee. The chariot wheel is one. Its wheel segments are 12. Its wheel naves are 3. Who understands this? That's funny. It's a question. Who understands this? They that wander on and on are fitted together on that, like 300 pegs, like 60 and more. Now, that's a pretty apt description. Like, that's not very vague. It's like literally what's being described in the Vedas of the Vimana. It seems like he's describing exactly what he saw or she saw or whatever was channeled. The Dhyana Saraswati interpreted these verses to mean jumping into space speedily with a craft using fire and water, containing 12 stamkas, 1 wheel, 3 machines, 300 pivots, and 60 instruments. Now, that definitely sounds like some kind of craft to me. But in terms of the gods, yeah, most likely if people had visions of the aliens, they probably, or the perceived gods, like if people had visions of Ganesh, of any of the other animal-like gods, they most likely were just visions of other aliens that kind of look like that, and they had no other words to describe what they were seeing other than what they knew. And what did they know in India? Elephants, monkeys, right? They knew the animals, so they had no other way to describe it. So if they had visions of these aliens, which the aliens most likely, maybe they are gods, maybe they're the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe all of these, the story of the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, and all of these scriptures, maybe they're one and the same. Maybe there's no separate entities between, maybe aliens, angels, gods of the old scripture. Maybe they were literally just visions from people on psychedelics or not even on drugs of psychedelics, like literally put into a psychedelic state, and these aliens tapped into them from other dimensions. Most likely. I mean, we see aliens or alien-like species or visions on DMT, right? Psilocybin, ayahuasca puts us into a different state of being able to take these in, and people do see alien-like visions. I'm sorry, animal-like visions. So maybe that's what was happening. Maybe they were just tripping balls and they got these revelations. But it's not even just tripping balls. Maybe when you trip balls, we get downloads. We tap into the collective unconsciousness, and these things that they perceived as gods, they perceived as these unfathomable, unexplainable beings that appeared to them, downloaded information to their consciousness, really just aliens that are using some kind of other technology to tap into our consciousness, our brains. Right? Most likely. That seems a little more explainable. And it makes a lot more sense knowing that we have things like DMT where you can actually do that. You know what I mean? You can actually meet other beings. So maybe that's what was happening, man. Who knows? If we are aliens for what we call aliens, we are the real aliens. We haven't even realized yet. Yeah, man, exactly. That's exactly it. We are the real aliens. We haven't realized yet. But where do we come from? That's the thing. That's another thing too. We obviously had to have our origins aren't from here. I think there's a part of us that was from here. That's the animal part. That's the part that still, is still hairy. There's remnants of our ape-like nature. We still have our animalistic instincts, our primal instincts. But then there's another part of us that seems a little more divine, right? It seems a little more or less connected to our animal nature, our higher chakras, you may say. Yeah, that part of us most likely isn't from here. I think we were probably seeded from these aliens that I'm talking about. Most likely they seeded this planet with their DNA, their stuff. They probably picked the best species that was able to reign dominion over this earth, be the caretakers of this earth, and those are apes. Like bipedal apes. I don't even know if they were bipedal at that time, but it may be. So they're probably like, all right, we can pick the tigers, we can pick the elephants, we can pick the rhinoceroses, we can pick the birds, or we can pick the apes. What do we want to put our life force into? They're like, all right, let's pick the apes. So somehow, some way, they probably put their consciousness into us, and thus human beings came about. But I almost feel like that's all they could do. Like, all right, create the being, let them go. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they do. It's like a big test. Like, this whole thing is a test for our species. Like I said before, like how I started this whole thing off, it's a test so that we upgrade ourselves and become like them. I think they can, if that's what life does, life creates life and seeds other planets. It's almost like that's as far as they can go in terms of like the model of upgrading consciousness and the evolution of consciousness. I don't think they can get involved too far with creating it and caretaking, like a helicopter parent. You know what I'm saying? They can't be too overbearing in how they take care of it, because it'll throw off the karma and the consciousness of the being. The being needs to grow by itself. You can't what's that word? You can't be too, there's another word for overbearing parents. You can't smother. You can't smother your kids, too much, or they won't learn, right? They won't be able to grow. They won't be able to flourish and become a healthy, respective adult, right? A well-rounded adult in the world. So that's kind of what I think the aliens did, is they created us. They not even just created us, they put a part of them selves in us. That part of yourself that you can feel, that I amness, that consciousness of the universe. That yearning for more, that yearning for truth, that yearning for wanting to know what you are, more than just survival, more than just procreation. That essence that you can feel, that is the alien aspect that's in us. And that aspect wants to connect back with the aliens. And the aliens knew that they couldn't be too involved with us, because I think that's just how it goes, man. That's just the law of the land. So they created us, merged with us. Something happened along the way where we got corrupted. Something happened. The fall happened. Something happened, man. Might have been another species. Something happened. But we still have that. We still have that spark of the good guys in us. The aliens, the angels. It's still in us. And they're still up there, taking care of us, waiting for us to see through the illusion, the darkness. To see through the games of the lizards, the lizard people, right? But it's all up to us. At this point, we have to be able to see through the illusion of all of that, the illusion of Maya, the darkness, and then evolve and ascend to be with our family, essentially, to be with our true relatives. And I think we're going to get there, man. We're going to get there. We're just going to focus on love. It's really that simple. And that's why, when you go into these states of ecstasy, literally maybe on ecstasy or other psychedelics, you find out that the meaning of life is to love, right? It's the biggest cliche in the book. All you need is love. All you need is love. What's the meaning of life? It's to love. God is love. We all know this. Anybody that's watching this that's been with me, you know the deal. It's all about love, right? Well, there's a reason for that. Because that's what was ingrained, or what's being ingrained into our consciousness. We just have to love each other at this point. Stop destroying yourselves so that you can join us and be the species that you were supposed to be, the species that we were created for, an extension of angelic-like beings. We got to start acting like angels. If we want to be with the angels, we got to act like angels. But that's really what we are, man. We're not beasts. We're not savages. We're acting like it. It's definitely a part of us. It's where we came from, in a way. But it's not where we're going. We're evolving. We're consciously evolving. And all we got to do is love, man. All we got to do is love. We're going to get there. Like I said, this is just the beginning. It's just getting started. It's just getting juicy. The party is just getting started, man, with these aliens. But it really doesn't matter, man. That's all just everything that I just described in the past 46 minutes, which is crazy that I've been talking for 46 minutes about this. Anything that I described, it really doesn't matter, man. We can recognize that they're there. They're waiting for us. And all you got to do, all we got to do is just be a good person. We just got to love. And then from that love, create a better environment for others to love and to love you and to love themselves. That's it. That's it, man. And then from there, it'll all play itself out, man. It'll all play itself out in due time, and we'll collectively be able to find that peace, that happiness that we all yearn for. Like I said, we all yearn for that angelic, that heaven-like state. We all yearn for that deep down. But you got to find that within yourself first. That's the test. The aliens, they're waiting for us to pass the test. Collectively, but also within ourselves. They want us to pass it within ourselves. Can you find that little spark of love that they put in us? At our creation. At our inception here. That little spark of love that they implanted in us. That no dark force can take away. Nothing, your body can get hurt. Your mind can get hurt, but there's something in us, one may call a soul, that you be able to find, that you can touch upon. That's always there. It always will be there. And it's waiting for you. It is you. And once you find it, you never let go. We're all gonna find it. And then once we find it, we'll find our brothers and sisters in the sky. Yeah, man. I don't know what else to say. Hopefully I wasn't talking too much craziness. This was 100% not high, sober talk too. This is just all off the top. Just needed to get this one off my chest for anybody that's wondering. Yo, Gary's. Yeah, I'm live, bro. What's good, bro? Yeah, you missed it, man. Sorry, Juggle. You're late to the game. We're 48 minutes in. You missed it, bro. Thankfully, you can replay this, but you're a little late. But hey, you made it, man. You're here, Juggle. What's up, Juggle G? Better late than never. Shout out. Just wrapping this thing up, though. The aliens are waiting for us. We just gotta love. We just gotta love. And that's it, man. And they'll welcome us with open arms. We just gotta stop blowing each other up, bro. We just gotta stop killing each other. Put down the AK-47s. Cool it with the nukes. And just realize that we're all in this together. All of us on Earth as human beings, and all of us in the cosmos. We're all in this together, man. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna peace out. Just love yourself and love others. That's it.